right, this is a good problem. I like this problem. If you notice, this does not start with a 1. It doesn't have a leading coefficient of 1. So that's something we haven't learned how to handle yet. But we're going to find out that this can be turned into a problem that does have a leading coefficient of 1. So here's 2 steps when you go to factor a trinomial. Okay, we're going to end up with multiple steps, but we're going to see our first 2. Step 1, you have to put it in order. Okay, now this one is in order. X squareds, then x's, then the numbers. Step 2, you have to look for a GCF. The GCF is going to be your best friend. It's going to make a larger trinomial much smaller. So, step 1, is it in order? Yes. It goes x to the second, and then x to the first, and then no x's. So it's in order. Check. Step 2, is there a GCF? Why, in fact, there is. If you look at these 3 terms, what could I divide out of all 3 of them? That's right, a 4. So I need to factor out the GCF. This is just like 6.1. I need to factor out the GCF of 4, and then let's see what happens. Divide out the 4, and I'm going to be left with x squared plus 5x plus 6. All right, I divided, really what you're doing is you're dividing all of these by 4. Okay, and then the 4 you're dividing out is out here on the outside as a multiplication. Now that I've factored out the 4, is it factored completely? No, it's not. This trinomial now will turn into a binomial. And this 4 is just gonna drop down. So let's go ahead and let's factor this as 2 binomials. All right, it has a leading coefficient of 1, right? If I'm only looking inside these parentheses. Leading coefficient of 1. So my first 2 are going to be x and x. And then my last 2 are going to multiply to give me 6. So come list our possibilities. All right, it could be 1 and 6, or it could be 2 and 3. And what am I doing with those pairs? I am going to add them to get a positive 5. Which ones add to give me 5? 2 and 3. So I'm going to have a 2 and a 3. Now remember that this plus tells me that they're both the same, and I look here and it'll tell me that they are both plus. So here's a plus and here's a plus. That is completely factored. And if you remember, on the last set, we had a problem like this where we'd have to multiply. And when we multiplied, what I did was I distributed the 4 in here first to get 4x plus 8. And then I FOILed it. And you know what? Let's go ahead and let's take a look at what foiling looks like. First 2, 4x squared, outer 2, plus 12x, inner 2, plus 8x, last 2, plus 24. My middle 2 terms will go together to give me 4x squared plus 20x plus 24. And that is exactly what you started with. So my answer is here in this box. That is the completely factored form of what I started with.